Fuel prices have since last year, April, continuously increased from when the country recorded some 6 Ghana cedis at the pumps to 17.99 for petrol and 23.49 that we are recording today. There are a number of variables that have contributed or that contribute to the price of petroleum products. On this edition of the Citi Newsroom, we're gauging the rate of increase and, of course, take a look at the price build-up and then also give you an understanding of what really the incessant increases mean to you, the consumer, and, of course, its impact on all other elements of our economic sustainability as a people. We want to speak to the Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amoah, and find out what really this means to the average consumer and if this is doomsday for petroleum users.
Petrol used to be 13.99. It's now 17.99, which is a 4 cedi variance. In percentage terms, you are doing a little around 32%. Diesel used to be around 17.99. It's also gone to 23.34. Percentage terms, you are doing above 28%. What that means in your spending, if you were doing 10 gallons a week to go to work, to run around the entire week, what it means is that now, if you are a diesel person, you would need at least 1,050 Ghana cedis to move around. Whereas previously, you would have done at the 17.99. If you were doing 10 gallons, you probably were going to do a little around 800. So tentatively, you would have to adjust your petroleum budget by at least 200 to 300 Ghana cedis if you're a diesel person for a week. What that means is that if you do the 1,050 for a week times 4, that's 4,200. And that is where we think that we are actually in a crisis. If you look at average incomes in Ghana for both public and private employees, you are doing between 2,400 to about 3,800. And if somebody has to spend close to 4,200 to be able to get by within a month, it tells you the sort of crisis we have plunged these people into.
Is there any end in sight?
We are not looking at the city doing any better. Importations are going to double because of the festivities that we are approaching. And that means that the currency may still take a battering. Once that happens, you are expecting to have prices go up further. Again, OPEC Plus has given an indication that they are working to cut back on production numbers. That can only mean one thing: global or FOB prices will go up. That is why I have said if we do not change course, if we do not see a certain urgent action, we are simply going to have fuel prices go up next week again.
All right, thank you very much. Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC Ghana, Duncan Amoah there. With that gloomy picture, oil marketing companies, perhaps the final link in the supply chain between importers and, of course, consumers. And so we want to engage the Association of Oil Marketing Companies on the recent increase in the price of petroleum products. We want to find out exactly what has contributed to this particular increase that we are witnessing.
We are not increasing based on just yesterday, last night one. It's throughout the week, the increment which has come, we are not passed on to the consumer. Because when you are going to buy the bulk of fuel again to come to transport to the fuel station, we need to have an aggregate of these prices so that we can pass it on consumer. And that will enable us to also top up and go and buy a quantity to bring it to the consumer once again. And now, a lot of things we are doing, we are borrowing money to buy the fuel. So obviously, it's not been easy.
Meanwhile, the National Petroleum Authority (NPA) has discredited calls for the scrapping of the government agency over the rampant increase in fuel prices. A former chief executive officer of the Volta River Authority, Dr. Charles Rekubrobe, had earlier called for the dissolution of the National Petroleum Authority if it cannot regulate fuel prices to protect consumers. Speaking to Citi Business News, Communications Manager at NPA, Mohammed Abdul Kudus, stressed that the mandate of the authority is to regulate the activities of players in the space and not to determine prices at the pumps.
It appears that people are equally still living in the past of what they knew NPA to be prior to 2015. Because the determination of pricing has actually been taken away from NPA after the act was amended in 2015. And so we virtually, literally can be called a police. And that still clothes us with a responsibility on regulation. Regulation is not just about determination of the pricing, but the regulation also involves in how the prices are arrived at. And that is what critical role that we play at the National Petroleum Authority. And the department responsible is the economic regulation. So we regulate how the prices are arrived at. First of all, to ensure that the investor is able to guarantee a return on his investment. Secondly, to ensure that the product is available. And third, to ensure that the consumer out there is not overcharged. So it is not like a complete free market out there where marketers go and bring their products and determine how much they want to sell it. No. In the determination of how much you want to sell, the National Petroleum Authority would still have a role to play to ensure that the formula that is so prescribed after the amendment was done in 2015 is fully complied with.